What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Your boy Lewis found out what the issue was with the Evo 10. For the longest time, I was going back and forth between having it be a clutch issue or having it be a tuning issue. So constantly back and forth, oh, my clutch is going out, oh, it's a bad tune. So I went ahead and decided to tackle the tuning aspect of it first. Hit up English Racing. They were helping me data log, but my car kept running worse and worse. I talked to them about it. I told them exactly what was happening with my car, and they confirmed. They're like, yeah, your clutch, man, it's toast. So currently, as we speak, my car is in my parking lot, and I literally can't move it. I revved that thing up to 5,000 RPM. It moves like 2 inches. I'm going to have to get it towed to Romans so that we can get it fixed. But with that being said, we got a nice little part, ACT Monoloc Collar for the clutch. I got some ARP bolts for the flywheel, and this Exedy racing clutch Hyper Series. Open this bad boy up. We have some instructions. It also came with some stickers, but I already snatched those. Pretty much tells you the whole design of it, tells you what makes and models this clutch can be used on. But then we have the clutch. Super nice. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you how nice this clutch looks. It's kind of a shame that you're never going to be able to see it because it's inside the transmission, but hey, nice to know that we got a nice product, right? This is the full clutch kit. It does come with a flywheel. Here's the part number if you guys are curious. Yeah, super excited about that. I've never replaced a clutch on a car. This is my first time, and I hope it goes well. But today, tow truck's gonna get here in a bit, and I'll be showing you guys my little journey throughout the whole process. But pretty much we're taking it to Romans, and I'm getting this thing in there this weekend. Let's see how it goes. I can smell the clutch. Jeez. All right, Evo is successfully at Romans. I'm not gonna get started today. I still have another day of work. After work tomorrow, we'll get this thing going, and we'll probably deal with it throughout the weekend. We just got to Romans. It's pretty late. It's about 7 o'clock over here. I ended up starting this a little bit later than I would have liked to, but it is what it is. We're gonna see how far we get today. My goal is to get the transmission out of the car and hopefully get the clutch exposed. That way tomorrow morning I can come back and replace it and then put everything back together and call it a day. This is pretty much the setup. We have our clutch, which I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but this clutch is rated for 510 foot-pounds of torque. Definitely more than what my build is gonna need. I think this clutch is overkill. Then we have the Monoloc Collar. We have some ARP bolts for the flywheel, magnetic tray, some blue tape with Sharpie, and the Ziploc. The reason why I'm doing this, since it is a huge project, I don't want to lose any bolts. I don't want to swap bolts to different locations. So I just, as I take off hardware, I'm going to put them in bags and label them. That way this whole project goes nice and smooth, no hiccups, and it's all very organized. And then that way it's a lot faster and easier for me to put everything back together. I am also replacing the throw out bearing. Throw out bearing doesn't show up until tomorrow in the mail. That will be put on, and that's what the grease is for. A lot can go wrong, but I'm gonna do everything by the book and take my time, nice and easy, and then hopefully we'll get her back on the road. I resorted to using my cell phone to record because it's a warm day out and the cameras keep overheating. I'm very limited on light right now, and yeah, everything just keeps dying, but we're still out here. Bumpers off, wheels are off. We're gonna remove the intake. From that point, we're gonna pretty much unbolt and unplug all of the things that are connected to the transmission right under the intake. I have to disengage the collar to the clutch plate from the throw out bearing. So this is the hole that I can see through. However, it's such a tight fit that I can't visually see it unless I use my camera. So I'm gonna use the camera on my phone to be able to see better inside here. And then while that's happening, I have to, with one hand, pry it open with a screwdriver, flathead screwdriver, hold the phone in one hand and then pry with the other. Let's see how well I can do that. See my screwdriver? So the idea is to wedge it in here and then twist. All right, so it's wedged, close, twist. Okay, nope, that's not working. I got it. Oh, geez. I gotta go right there. Boom, perfect. Close. Twist, twist, twist. Oh, geez. Oh, they made it look easy.
One eternity later.
Twisting very hard. Aha. I'm pretty sure I disconnected it. Nice. Only took like a million tries. Oh my goodness. I was able to disconnect the throw out bearing from the collar itself. The way I know for a fact that I did it is because this clutch fork is all the way to the left. That's how you know for a fact that you did it. In fact, if you look in here, you see that little red line, that little red lip? That was not exposed. It used to be like this, but once you pop it out, you should be able to see the end of that. And that's how you know for a fact that it's disconnected in there. The next thing that I started to do was focus on removing this, getting it out of the way. Side note, this does take a 32 millimeter. It goes right in here. I had to use some PB blaster. That will rotate unless the brakes are applied. Since I'm by myself, all I had to do, and this is a really easy fix for anyone who's working by themselves, put pressure on the brake, scooter the seat forward, and apply pressure like that. And then that way, something, not someone, but something was applying brake pressure to the car while I could break that loose. I'm gonna keep going for a little bit longer, but I'm kind of tired. So I might just end it like 30 minutes, maybe. Good morning, guys. It's Saturday morning. I just got here. I stopped working on the car around midnight yesterday. Now it's like 8 o'clock or something like that. But yeah, this thing has to get done. Now you should be able to just thread this. What would you even call that rod thing that's in there?
Just probably your output shaft.
Okay, and then we can get the slide hammer. I think it might leak a little bit. Yeah. There you go. That'll do it.
Sick.
All the bolts that connect to the transfer case and from the transmission over to the motor, those are all disconnected. I have two jacks. That one's supporting the transmission. The other one is supporting the engine. I do have a wooden block right there because I don't like metal to metal contact, especially on the oil pan. I think the only thing left to do is disassemble the mounting bracket that connects to the transmission, and it should all fall down. I called around for mechanics all over town. They all quoted just the labor alone because I already bought the clutch. The cheapest was $1,700. The most expensive was $2,100. So I can't justify paying someone that much to do it. However, I see now why they charge that much.
3 hours later.
All right,
Grab a hold of that whole flywheel.
transmission is out. Yeah, you can literally see chunks of clutch in there.
Ready? Hold on.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Oh. All right.
Oh, dude, look how scorched your flywheel is.
Look at this.
Oh my gosh.
And we got some
hot spots.
hot spots on the flywheel. Safe to say, I've had my fun.
Yeah, so
Look at this. It's cracked right here too.
yeah.
See that crack?
Heat cracks.
Ah, good riddance. That's a burnt up clutch. That's why I had to tow it here.
So
I'm over here.
the first person to warn you. This car's gonna be a complete different beast once you put that clutch in.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding, right?
It's gonna be a whole different feel too. You just gotta be like learning a clutch all over again.
I hear that it's dude, there's so much warping in this. Like, it does not feel flat at all.
That's gonna suck to have to line that back up onto the transfer case too.
Back to the to this?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a 17.
Sounds good.
Some Ugga Duggas. Let's go.
You're a brave soul, dude. Not supporting it for the last bolt.
Yeah, buddy.
As it falls off, it goes.
It's heavier than you think, so you have to use 2 hands, I guess.
He palms it with 2 fingers. It's heavier than you think. He's like, Duke. Oh, that's light.
Yeah, it's light.
His whole clutch setup. It's only like 25 pounds.
Okay, so I think this is where I'm gonna stop it tonight.
Doritos and NOS.
Doritos and NOS.
To this
Yes.
point.
Yeah, literally fueled on Doritos and NOS. Well, we got it. Good morning, guys. Today is day 3 of the clutch install. We successfully got the transmission out of the car. That was probably the worst part about this, hopefully. I don't know how I'm going to put it all back together after I get the clutch in, because I would imagine that it'd be just as difficult to line everything up, position it the right way. But this is what we're looking at. Here's the transmission. As you can see, it's very, very dirty. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna clean all this up. That way, none of this debris affects the new clutch. I believe here's the front motor mount. That one, super easy. You don't even have to deal with that. However, this one right here, this is a doozy. So from the looks of it, yeah. So this is the bolt that I was trying to get right here, but there's no clearance. Once the mounting, whatever you call that thing, once it's here, you can't get to that bolt. And then you have another one down here. So you're really just better off disconnecting it like I did, but that was a pain. Rear transmission mounts. There's really no trick to doing it. You just have to I have a lot of really good friends that are willing to help you out with this one. So that was a pain. And the only other thing that I could say is when you're removing the transmission, I thought it wasn't going to be necessary, but this bracket right here was definitely in the way. It was hitting up against this firewall and it wouldn't let it slide out. So this was actually the last piece that we took out. I skipped this because I didn't think it was going to be necessary to remove it, but for this install it was. Now, this is the part that's a little bit concerning to me. If I'm not mistaken, Evo 10s come with a stock clutch, but it's an Exedy branded stock clutch. It's OEM, right? It'll have the little Mitsubishi logo on it, engraved in it, but it'll also have a little tiny engraving that says Exedy on it. This one does not. I'm under the assumption that someone already replaced the clutch on this car, but they just use like a, I wouldn't even know what to call this. They just use like a cheapy little OEM replacement. Once you're going up in power, that's not going to do you any good. I've definitely had my fun. That's for sure. There are 8 bolts that connect from the transmission to the engine. There's another 6 bolts that connect to the transfer case. So here's your 8. You got your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You got 8 right here, and then you have 6 right here. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The 3 were really easy. However, these, on every video that I've seen, it's a huge pain because the turbo sits right here, and so does the manifold. So these were actually not in place. So luckily I didn't have to deal with this, but that gives me a good indication that someone had removed this before, probably for the clutch. So not the first time that this transmission has been removed from the car. However, when they reinstalled it, they did not feel like putting these back in place, I guess. I don't know what kind of mechanic just thought, oh, hey, whatever, let's just leave it as is. But when I went to go separate the transmission from the engine, literally one of these bolts just, I think it was like hanging out right here, and it just fell. Boom. So I found it. So I have one of the bolts out of the 3. So I'll have to replace those. Look how crusty this thing is. I can feel it. Okay, 4th day with the car. I'm exhausted. It's a big pain. We're gonna get as much of this done as we can. The transmission is now somewhat in the vehicle. You know, clutch is all installed and everything. I've mounted it on this side. The only struggle, and this is probably the worst part about this, is the rear mounting point. The rear mounting point is a pain in the butt. So I have to focus on that while I simultaneously line it up to the transfer case and get that in the right spot so it all plugs in perfectly.
2 hours later.
The transmission is officially in. All the bolts are seated. Oh, that jack is just supporting the transfer case. I already bolted everything up in the transfer case, so I'll be taking that jack out. The only thing that's left to do is brake system, sway bars, put it all back together, put the wheels back on, your basic bolt-ons, and the front bumper. Once all that's done, job complete. This was a big one. This one took me 4 days to do. I'll finish tonight. Easy stuff now. You need a lot of patience and a lot of good friends. Okay. I didn't record any of them because we were busy working. But shout out to Colton, Roman, Casey. You know, you guys really helped me out on this one. So, yeah, $2,000 if you get a mechanic to do it, or do it by yourself with some friends, and you'll earn some experience and some trauma along the way. But yeah, I think next time I'll probably pay the 2Gs. But that just about wraps it up for today's vlog. Like always, like and subscribe. See you on the next one.